to the web. This is BAM Football, Episode 2. Steve Allen, Michael Butner and Laurie McKenna. Let's go straight to Laurie. Who are you wearing this week? The blue looks fantastic.
Yeah, red, white and blue, my colours. Chongqing Li Fan. Got this in my time in China. I was over there for 6 months and it was a great experience in a nice little club.
Utes, the red shirt. Who is
Mighty
it?
Reds of the Kincumber Colts, obviously through to their grand final this weekend. A big win over the Sharks, 30-0, the Terrigal Sharks that is, last weekend. So grand final for them. They won the wooden spoon last year. That had nothing to do with the fact that I was playing with them or anything like that. But the boys are looking confident and feeling good as they prepare for this grand final against Umina.
And this footy jumper is the Albury Tigers. I spent a year and a half down there during my radio career with 2AY down there and played in the Ovens and Murray Footy League, and just a fantastic competition. Benny Doolan was there, who played with Collingwood and also Essendon, and recently they've signed Taj Keneally. So the Albury Tigers get a run this week on BAM Football.
I'm just curious, Steve, how much time do you spend out in the car park doing push-ups before you come on the show?
Mate, it is the Gun Show on BAM Football. Let's talk rugby league, boys. Couple of sides eliminated in week 1 of the National Rugby League finals last week. The Broncos in that Queensland derby, and the Sharks went down to the Raiders, Michael.
Yeah, look, the Sharks obviously disappointing against the Raiders. Look, the Raiders are on a roll, and we talked about it last week, about how much momentum makes a big difference to teams. And right now, the Raiders have got that momentum, and I don't know who's going to get in their way. The Rabbitohs play them this week. It's a big ask for the Rabbitohs. They've got to come back after a disappointing performance against the Melbourne Storm. And I think they may have been overawed by the game down there in Melbourne. But the Raiders, they're looking good. Obviously, the injury to Croker might be a big factor for them. The fact that they don't have a goal kicker, that is going to be vital.
Laurie, you know all about momentum. The Raiders undefeated since round 22.
Yeah, I've only saw brief highlights of it, but to see Canberra Stadium full of the green and white, taking us back to the 90s when, and probably late 80s when I started watching rugby league, and it was great to see. But momentum and confidence goes a long way. Rabbits coming off a big loss last weekend is going to affect them, but the Raiders going very, very well.
Michael, who was the most impressive team last weekend? Canterbury winners, Melbourne, also the Cowboys and the Raiders.
Look, I think there was a couple of great performances. The Bulldogs were outstanding in terms of what they did against Manly. Then you've got Melbourne and what they did to the Rabbitohs. The Rabbitohs went in there with a lot of confidence and would have thought they would have performed a lot better. I think a lot of teams might be a little bit concerned about Melbourne and where they're at right now, because they certainly have got back to, they're not quite where they need to be, but they got back to looking like the side that they have earlier in the season. And of course the Raiders, I was really impressed with the Raiders. And look, all the teams that won, the Cowboys were outstanding against the Broncos as well. They put on a really good show, and they come up against Manly this weekend, who have got their injury concerns, got players in terms of suspension. So they've got to be feeling really confident.
Michael, the Cowboys won 5 in a row. Last time they played Manly, it was 8-6. I'm surprised I'm asking this question, but could the Premiers go out in straight sets?
Oh, look, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, if they did go out in straight sets. I think probably the big test for the Cowboys is they've got to get their attack right, and that's important for them because the Manly defence is a lot better. You look at that game on Friday night, it was 16-10. So it was a dour struggle between those two sides who certainly got plenty of attacking ability, but they just defensively are able to hold sides out. With the likes of Thurston and Bowen, and that young halfback in Morgan, they've got some impetus there, and Brent Tate and Ashley Graham, they're all performing well at the moment. 2
final questions for you. Boys, first to Michael. Can Manly win without Jamie Lyon?
Oh, look, I think it's a big test for Manly if they can do it without Jamie Lyon. Obviously, the calf strain, injury, tear, whatever it may be, that's a big concern for them. They've also got Steve Maddai, who will find out whether he'll be suspended or not with the match review committee and the judiciary. Jason King obviously got let off, so he's okay there. But they've got to turn it around in a week, and that's going to be a big ask for the Sea Eagles.
Final question, boys, or a statement, a comment on Petro Civoniceva, a colossus of the game. Laurie, you would have loved watching his career, not just with Brisbane Broncos, but Penrith Panthers, also with Queensland and Australia.
He's like outstanding individual, what he's done in the game, the way he handles himself on and off the park is just first class, and he's a great club person, and wish him well.
Michael?
Oh, salute Petro Civoniceva. Anybody that's played that long in the game, 300 odd first grade games, is a huge achievement, and to do it the way he did, both on and off the field, was outstanding. Like Laurie said, he's a great
ambassador.
He's a great ambassador for the game.
This is BAM Football, and let's go to our BAM moment of the week. It's a highlight. It could be on the field, off the field, doesn't matter what sport it is. And let's start with Laurie McKinnon.
Definitely Del Piero signing with Sydney FC, great for the A-League in Australia. So that's my BAM moment of the week.
Thank you, Laurie. My BAM moment of the week, I can't separate these two. It's the young girl Jacqueline Freeney, who won 8 gold medals at the Paralympic Games in London. And also a beautiful friend of mine, Liesl Tesch, who after a quarter of a century and 6 Paralympic Games, finally won gold in a second sport. Of course, she was the best in the world at wheelchair basketball, but won gold in the sailing at the Paralympic Games with Dan Fitzgibbon. Let's go to Views.
Well, my BAM moment of the week is the performance of Ben Barber out of the Dalians. A clean sweep to all the awards, a fantastic season for him, and he also replicated that on Friday night with an outstanding try as well. So to Ben Barber, BAM! You've done it again, buddy.
Yeah, it's my shot. Well, the huge news this week is Alessandro Del Piero signing with Sydney. This time last week we speculated on whether the deal would go through or not, but Laurie, it's just huge for the A-League. In my opinion, they need star power, and you couldn't find a better player to come here.
No, I think it's bigger news than Dwight York. You know, we thought last week they might have jumped the gun and said it a bit early, but they've came through, they've delivered. You know, on and off the park now, season tickets are going through the roof. They expect to sell 30,000 Del Piero shirts in Australia alone next year, or this season. They only sold 4,000 last year. You know, they reckon they need 3,700 people extra through the gates to pay his wages, and they're going to get that easily. You know, the vibe and the buzz about the place is huge. I think it's the best thing, and internationally for the A-League it's going to be massive. The Italian Sky TV network's looking to do the games live into Italy, which is just massive for Australia, not just the A-League.
And Laurie, they're talking about 300,000 jerseys sold worldwide. Is that right?
Yeah, well, he's got a fan club of 500,000 people in Japan. You know, so this guy is massive, and it's going to be great for sport as well. Not just football, you know, getting the world eyes will be on Australia and the A-League for one of the superstars of the game.
Laurie, my question for you, at 37, is he the best player to come to our A-League?
Yeah, I think his record, he's played just about 100 games for Italy, 500 odd games for Juventus, and scoring 200 odd goals in one of the most toughest leagues in the world. You know, he's got a great record. Just hopefully he's got legs. You know, he's obviously at 37, he'll look after himself.
And let's not forget, he was still competing only last season.
So he was playing in the first team last year. You know,
as a 37-year-old, it's not as if he's finished 3 years ago.
Well, Liverpool come in for him at the last minute. Glasgow Celtic, Sion. He had a lot of offers, and he's chose Sydney. They sold him on Sydney. I read the paper this morning, walking down the street, the cobble street, and talking with their families and that, and just sold him. He was down to earth kind of guy, and he came across well. So great for the game. Laurie,
what about the international weekend? England winners 5-0 over Moldova. Frankie Lampard scored a double.
Yeah, well, international weekend, you know, Scotland had a great draw at home against Serbia, you know, because we usually struggle. But the big one is tomorrow or tonight. You know, Australia play Jordan. First time they've played in the international. Hamad, the coach of Jordan, was the Iraqi coach in 2004 at the Olympics that beat the young Socceroos 1-0, and also in 2008 beat the full Socceroos as well. So he's got a track record of beating the Socceroos, but huge game because the Socceroos need to win this game or they're saying cheerio to the World Cup in Brazil.
I was watching the NRL show on Fox Sports last night, and they were talking about how great coaches will target the danger players. They said Craig Bellamy did that against the Rabbitohs, and they specifically targeted John Sutton. What about this Jordan coach? Who will he target in the Socceroos lineup? Is it Timmy Cahill?
Yeah, Cahill scored in the friendly game last week. He's came back in, he's settled in America. They're going to go for him. You know, the other key players, Bresciano was back in the team. Obviously Schwarzer, he's going to be the mainstay because it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a sellout over there, hot conditions. So, but definitely Cahill, he's the main man that everybody knows.
How do they go about targeting a player in soccer? Obviously in rugby league, you in attack, you run at that and try and get that player tired in defence and, you know, put him under a lot of pressure. How do you do likewise with a striker like Cahill in soccer? How do you put pressure on it?
It's man-to-man marking. They'll put somebody, that's his job. So normally you play a shape and you'll slide and you'll just pick up space, but they'll put somebody on him.
Okay.
You know, goes everywhere with him. But Cahill, he'll play off the main striker. So he's very hard to pick up. He's been a main player with Everton in the Premier League. He'll know how to handle that.
Two final questions for you, Laurie. What's your prediction for this game? By the time we hit the web, the game will be over. What do you think will unfold?
Socceroos 2-0. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's away from home. People don't realise how hard it is playing in these countries. Although they've been there for a few days acclimatising, 20,000 Jordanians jumping up and down and going berserk. It's a hard atmosphere. It'll be hostile, but 2-0 because they need to win. They need to win.
Boys, I was at the AFL on the weekend. I got the Albury Tigers jumper on, and for the first time in my life, I ticked one of the things off the bucket list. I went to the G and I saw Freo versus Geelong. Just incredible. In fact, the Cats fans were in shock. I got there at the start of the second quarter, and the Cats were already well down. Pavlich had kicked 3 in the first quarter, and they were irate. They were going nuts at the umpire, but just a fantastic atmosphere. And it's amazing to think the stadium was less than half full, just 44,000 fans there, but the noise was incredible. I absolutely loved it. And I always thought the Cats would get back into it, but Pavlich ended up kicking 6. Biggest win in the history of the Fremantle Footy Club. Laurie, you've been to the G.
Yeah, I've been there 2 or 3 times, 2 football games at Socceroos. You know, the Iran game and I can't remember the other one. Argentina, friendly game, and one Swans game. Fantastic atmosphere, and what a stadium. I think we had about 90-odd thousand there.
What about your thoughts about Mick Malthouse, 3-time premiership winning coach? By the time we go to air, he will have signed with Carlton.
I think it's a great move for Carlton, great for AFL. You know, he'd done a great job at Collingwood, and he probably, some people say, left early when Buckley came in. I think it was making room for Buckley, an ex-legend of the club, to step up to the coaching ranks. So I feel as though he left a bit early, but great for AFL, and he's got a great record, and I think the guy's got a bit of aura about him. The players will respect him straight away, and he'll get the best out of the club, so great for AFL.
Michael, final question in this segment. Hawthorn and Sydney now in the box seat.
Yeah, look, their position really nice at the moment. Great win from the Swans. They go down to Adelaide and get the job done down there. The Hawks obviously just dominated the Magpies, and a really strong performance by them. So they're sitting nicely at the moment. The games this weekend are going to be a good test to see where those 2 teams fit in. But yeah, I can see it being a Hawks Swans grand final.
Boys, that's a wrap this week, and I just want to say thanks to everyone who checked out our maiden voyage, our debut performance last week, and watched the entire 14 minutes of it. Thanks very much. Also, thank you to our technical team. Can you believe they spent 5 hours loading BAM football to the web? Great job by our technical team, our knob jockeys, as they're called in the business. Boys, good to see you again this week. Laurie McKinnon, Michael Butner. I'm Steve Allen. This is BAM Football, and we'll catch you next week.